In the underworld of crime, some names take more power, fear, and attraction as Pablo Escobar. For some, he was a ruthless drug lord, which filled the world with cocaine, leaving the mark of blood and destruction behind. For others, especially in his homeland Colombia, he was a modern-day Robin Hood who built homes for the poor, provided jobs, and challenged corrupt clan. But behind the myth and legend is the story of a person who increased from poverty to unimaginable wealth and power, only to fall into one of the most dramatic criminal mandates in history. This is the story of Pablo Escobar, the rise and collapse of the world's richest criminal. Escobar was born on the 1st of December 1949 in Rio Negro, Colombia, and grew up in Medellin. Their beginning was humble. His father was a farmer and his mother a school student. From an early age, Escobar displayed more ambitions than its circumstances. He often told friends that he would become a millionaire before the age of 30, and he was not joking. Their early years were marked by short-time crimes, selling fake lottery tickets, stealing cars, and smuggling equipment. But this was the growing cocaine trade of the 1970s that gave him an opportunity to convert his petty ambitions into an empire of global ratio. By the mid-1970s, Escobar entered the cocaine business in the United States, smuggling small amounts of drug. At that time, cocaine was relatively unknown in North America and Europe. But as the demand between rich Kulin and famous celebrities, the sky touches the sky, Escobar and his colleagues saw a golden opportunity. Escobar co-established Medellin Cartel, which would become the most powerful drug organization in the world. Using deeply hidden secret laboratories in the forests of Colombia, his cartel produced cocaine on an industrial scale. Private aircraft, submarines, and even commercial shipments moved the drug tons across the borders, and soon Escobar was earning profits beyond imagination. At the height of its power in the 1980s, Cartel of Escobar controlled as 80% of the global cocaine market. Every month, hundreds of crores of dollars of shipments were put in the United States alone. Escobar was asked to earn so much money that he spent about $2,500 every month on a rubber band to wrap a pile of cash. His total assets estimated $30 billion, making him one of the world's richest men, and of course, the richest criminal in history. According to a story, when his family was hidden in the mountains, Escobar burnt a pile of money to keep his daughter warm through a cool night. But Don was only part of the story of Escobar. Power was the other. He built a huge property called Hacienda Napol with artificial lakes, private runways, and even with an individual zoo with foreign animals imported from Africa. His lifestyle was extraordinary, but Escobar also invested in Medellin to build the entire neighborhood for the poor, giving him a Robin Hood surname. He paid for schools, football grounds, and housing projects. Many poor Colombians saw him as a person who stood against corrupt politicians and gave him dignity. For these communities, Escobar was not just a drug lord, he was a savior. But the power of Escobar came with incredible violence. He adopted a policy known as plata o plomo, silver or lead. In other words, people can either accept his bribe or face murder. Judge, police officers, politicians, journalists, whoever stood on their way was taken at risk of killing them. In 1989, his cartel was accused of planting a bomb on Avianca Flight 203, who killed more than 100 passengers in an attempt to kill a presidential candidate. He ordered killings of presidential expectations for political chaos in Colombia. Thousands of people died in bloody wars against Escobar, against the Colombian state, rival cartels, and anyone who opposed his empire. In 1982, Escobar was elected as an alternative member of the Congress of Colombia. For a moment, it seemed as if he was legalizing his power through politics. But journalists quickly exposed his criminal background, and his public image moved. This was followed by a series of confrontation with the government, which increased in an open war. The Colombian government, pressed by the United States, declared an all-out war on Escobar and Medellin cartel. Extradition in America became the worst fear of Escobar, and he was willing to do anything to stop it. The war against Escobar reached its peak in the early 1990s. In 1991, he made a shocking deal with the Colombian government. He would surrender if he could escape extradition in the United States. The government agreed, and Escobar was allowed to make his own jail, known as La Catalra. But it was not an ordinary prison. It was like a luxury resort, which was completed with a football ground, bar, and waterfall. Escobar continued to run his empire from inside his walls, ordering killings and operations without any intervention. However, his ego proved to be very high. When the government came to know that he was still controlling the cartel, he tried to transfer it to a strict facility. Escobar escaped in 1992, humiliating the authorities and provoking one of the biggest manhuntings in history. The Colombian police, supported by American intelligence agencies like DEA and CIA, began an all-out operation to catch him. Meanwhile, a vigilance group known as Los Peps, influenced by Escobar's enemies and supported by rival cartel, dominated their colleagues, killing them one by one and destroying their network. The collapse of Escobar came on December 2, 1993, a day after his 44th birthday. The intercepted phone was tracked through the call. He was performed by Colombian security forces in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellin. After a chase on the roofs, Escobar was shot and killed. To date, it remains a mystery whether he died in firing or with his hand. Some claim that he prefers to catch suicide. His death was observed by governments, but mourning by many poor of Medellin, who saw him as his beneficiary. Even after decades of his death, the heritage opinion of Escobar continues to divide. For the world, he remains a symbol of greed, violence, and the destructive power of drug trade. But in Colombia, they are remembered with complex feelings, both as a demon and as a person who, despite his crimes, gave hope to those left by the society. His story inspired countless books, documentaries, and TV shows, turning him into a global infamy figure. Nevertheless, there is a stark reminder behind legend. The money manufactured on uncontrolled power and crime eventually causes a decline. The rise and fall of Pablo Escobar is not just the story of a man, it is the story of a nation apart from drugs, corruption, and violence. This is a story how ambition can turn poverty into power, and how that power, when uncontrolled, can destroy everything in its way. Escobar achieved what some criminals could do. He became a global icon, but in the end, his empire collapsed, and his life ended on a Medellin roof, which proved no matter how powerful a criminal becomes, they cannot escape justice forever.